Please be advised that everything in my video is purely for entertainment purposes. These are purely my thoughts and opinions and are subjective. I must advise you to please do your own research. All media used found on the public domain and are fair use and fair dealings.
Hey guys, I hope you're all keeping well. So, a few updates. I am actually got a couple of days free from college. I just did my first assessment. Oh, so nerve-wracking. I literally had a massive brain fart. I sat down to do this assessment of the module. And I just was looking at the words thinking, I don't know this. I've only been studying it for 2 weeks, so I'm not going to know everything. But you're just like, oh, I'm going to fail at the first hurdle. So I'm sure I'll be absolutely fine. It's just nerve-wracking being back at school, but I'm still thoroughly enjoying it. It's definitely a welcome distraction. Now, I've had lots of you inquiring about Chia. So Chia, we're still waiting on some extra tests. She had to go in for some extra additional blood tests last night. They're checking her out for this other disease, which I'm just really hoping that she doesn't have. But she's definitely got the leishmaniasis, leash for short. She didn't take to the medication. She's fine. She's on this tablet called allopurinol. She'll be on that for the rest of her life. But the meltaforan did not take to her. She's had no improvements. So we're just waiting to see. But as long as she is happy and she is healthy and she's enjoying going walking and she is eating, that's all we really care about, and just spoiling her rotten. But she has become a little bit of a diva in the last couple of weeks and is very demanding of cuddles. So it's hard to obviously say no, but it causes a problem because Leela, our other dog, she's getting really jealous. And because my husband and I are just like giving Chia that little bit of extra attention, because obviously we've both been upset about the news and that, Leela, just because she's got one eye, she just sits there across the room like giving you a stink eye, glaring at you. So we're trying to make sure that, you give Chia a treat. Obviously Leela's got to have a treat, and Leela's gaining weight, whereas Chia's lost it. So we're trying to fatten Chia up, and you can't fatten one up without fattening up the other one. So it's a real kind of juggle game at the moment. But thank you everyone. She's doing okay, but obviously I'll keep you posted. So in the news, Harry turns up at a rodeo in Texas, which is really funny because I know I talk about, like, every video that I've spoken about my birthday. It's my 40th next year. So we've been trying to plan something. I want to do something big. I want to do something epic. So I've picked, I want to go to Texas and I want to go to Louisiana. These are just two places that I've always wanted to go. So we're going to do it over 2-3 weeks, fingers crossed. Obviously, it depends on what's going on in the world at the time, but these are the plans. Then sure enough, a day later, up pops Harry in Texas, dressed as a cross between Indiana Jones and Crocodile Dundee. If you're going to go to a rodeo, at least wear a cowboy hat, But with Harry, did he do it on purpose to go, oh, they spotted me? Well, they're going to spot you not dressed like a cowboy in a rodeo, especially the fact he's obviously with, behind the scenes with, I guess, staffers and people that run it. Although in this picture, I don't know who she is, obviously, so she's a she for me, but she looks like she's given him an earful, and Harry, being rather rude like a child, is just looking the other way. She seems quite intense with her conversation with him, so you think that he'd be making eye contact. But it reminds me of the Intrepid Awards, where photographs got released of where Harry was told to bugger off back home and to keep his beak out of America by, a couple of veterans. Now, veterans is the key word here. What is Harry, unescorted by his wife, doing in Texas? It's one of those baffling things, and it just ignited social media. Why would Harry be in Texas? Well, a quick Google search has revealed to me that President Biden is also in Texas. Yes, and you know what he's talking about? Healthcare to do with veterans. So my suspicions is, and at the time of filming this is currently UK time, it is currently now 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon. So if this news comes out, I didn't know at the time, but I think that he's there to appear with Biden. I could be wrong. Now, why do I think that Harry could be hanging out with Biden and making an appearance? Well, that is because of what President Biden is there to discuss. He is there to discuss giving additional healthcare to veterans, to support veterans that had exposure to toxic smoke from burn pits. These were used in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they cause long-term health issues. So who's done 2 tours of Afghanistan that we've have shoved in our faces all the time? Who was there with his wife in tow to be involved with the US veterans, the Intrepid Valor Awards? Harry. So it's a bit of a coincidence, isn't it, that Biden is there to discuss veterans and Harry appears in Texas. Let's be honest, what other reason, apart from trying to stick out like a sore thumb at a rodeo, would Harry have been in Texas at the exact same time? Which will beg the question, is Harry again being involved in politics? It's not being well received by US veterans, by families of veterans anyway, given the fact that, let's be honest here, swear word coming, he shit all over Queen and country. He's walked away from the military. He's only now filming the Invictus with Netflix, which he's going to get a paycheck for. Now, I'd love to know, there are rumours that Harry will donate the money to the Invictus Games, which is obviously needing much needed support, but it makes you wonder, how much is he going to donate? Are Netflix going to pay Archwell and then Archwell pays a certain amount? Is it going to be the 5%? There is something very, very dodgy with Harry using the Invictus Games for something he's going to be paid for. If it was 100% of the money going to Invictus Games, you think, okay, yeah, fair play to him. But I highly doubt that it is. But again, with Harry being involved, we know that he's friends with Joe Biden and Jill. We've seen them at, events and stuff before. But it's a dangerous game. We know that they hated Trump. They did that whole thing on the bench. It's not being well received in America. He's bashed one of their amendments. He's bashed his family on TV. A lot of Americans that like the royal family is because they like and respect the Queen. And Harry getting involved, and we know that Meghan is getting involved in politics. But I'll explain more of that tomorrow. But I think it's pretty suspicious. Veterans, Texas, Biden, Harry. So yeah, tell me what you guys think on that one, because it was just a little bit odd seeing Harry at a rodeo. Even more odd was the media tried to spin that he's going to be in trouble with Meghan when he gets home because Meghan is an animal activist and a rodeo is known for animal cruelty. And I was thinking, hang on a minute. I've never really actually seen Meghan being involved in, animal cruelty activism. She wears lambskin skirts. She's a part-time vegan, which you're either vegan or you're not. I mean, I do understand people reducing the amount of animal meat that they eat, but it's still a little bit, don't believe it. But it all stems from Meghan's animal activism. It was when she told Harry that he couldn't go shooting with his friends and family. I think that's got less to do with the animals and more to do with telling him that he couldn't spend time with friends and family. That's just my opinion on that one. And this also made me chuckle as well, because obviously Prince William, we've seen him in a proper good old-fashioned cowboy hat, and then Harry. And it's that whole thing, what you ordered compared to what you received. Now, moving on, we had the year anniversary of the fallout from the Oprah interview. And the biggest thing here is they got proved that they lied a lot. And that's where it ended. Much like Harry's racist things that he's done has been completely whitewashed over, it's like Oprah never happened. Oprah deleted all traces of the interview. It's like she's gone, didn't happen. I mean, the rumours are that she did feel completely lied to and humiliated, but it was like, well, if you're not going to ask questions or even do a little bit of research, which a lot of the stuff they lied about could have been easily proved, then, she deserved a little bit of that humiliation that came her way. But she may have just simply trusted the couple, which, given everything that they've been caught out lying for, not just on Oprah, but since, lying to courts, lying about finding freedom, lying about demanding taxpayer security, I can't see that Oprah would fall for it again. But the things that get me that they have never addressed, right? First up, we've got Harry being cut off by his father. Now, the truth was Harry eventually got cut off, but he was paid up to a certain date with millions of pounds from Charles. So he wasn't cut off and left to fend for himself. Plus also a bit rich in the middle of a pandemic where lots of people are losing their jobs and their livelihoods, their pensions, their savings, that Harry's crying about his multi-million-pound savings that he had to dig into that his mother and his great-grandmother left him. Oh, Diddums, cry me a river. Another one, their wedding happened 3 days beforehand. They actually had to get the Archbishop of Canterbury, who the Queen is the highest rank in the church. He is one below the Queen. Okay, the Church of England, he actually spoke out and said that wasn't true. I mean, that's pretty embarrassing for the Archbishop to have to come out and do that. But the fact is, you lied about a man of God on TV committing a very serious crime. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. Meghan being denied access to mental health. This one, you can still say we don't really know the truth, but I find it very odd that Harry was part of several mental health charities, has not stopped talking about the amount of mental health therapy that he had, even on Oprah. So that kind of contradicts it. What? So you could go get it and you could work alongside charities, but you wouldn't get your wife it when she was... Never mind. Oh, what about the fact that every other member of the royal family had access to it? But yeah, they just cut Meghan off. Sure they did. Meghan not knowing anything about the royal family, that she didn't look them up. No, but she did on her TIG blog do quite, she commented about Princess Catherine quite a lot. She reported on their wedding. For a start, who was the best man at Catherine and William's wedding? But she didn't know anything about the royal family. I mean, on Oprah, she spoke about that Catherine's years of being destroyed in the press, waity Katie. Well, that didn't count either because, what happened to Meghan was so much worse. Well, if you didn't know anything about it. Archie not being made a prince, that was purely down to potentially Archie's skin colour. Well, that's not true in the slightest, is it? Because they don't actually even get the opportunity to become prince and princess until Charles takes the throne. It's got nothing to do with racism. So that was a big fat lie. And the fact is, Harry sat there and let her lie. It's up there with Meghan never got any training to be a member of the royal family. Yeah, pull the other one. It's not the staff's fault that Meghan went through them. She was apparently so awful to her staff, they quit left, right and centre. But I mean, she had a woman, Samantha the Panther, that had worked for the Queen for like 17 years. Meghan had a lot of support. She had a lot of staff that did everything for her. She didn't even have to carry flowers and stuff. She was constantly surrounded by security, protocols. She had Duchess training. It's not everyone else's fault that Meghan turned around and said, I'm doing it my way. I'm carving my path. Even when it comes down to, she was advised not to wear those blood diamond earrings, okay? The journalist had literally just been murdered a few weeks beforehand, and the staff had said to her, do not wear them. Meghan didn't give a damn. She wore them several times. It's the same as that pinky ring she loves to flaunt as well. The fact that they said the TV arrangements, but it was never in their plan. They were just forced to do Netflix and Spotify and all these other programs because they got cut off. Well, you didn't get cut off. You had loads of money. And two, why is it that you were making these deals and these plans pretty much straight after the wedding? So that turned out to be, well, one of the most dramatic ones. Meghan was not allowed to see friends. She had her passport and her keys taken away from her. First of all, the media came out and said, well, this isn't true because Meghan's various outings that she had with friends, there were paparazzi photographs taken every time that apparently were trying to be sold to the UK media. And the UK media turned them down because they've obviously got strict rules with the royal family. So Meghan was setting up pap shots even when she was in the royal family. It was just because the UK media flatly said, no, we can't, we're not doing this. So that is pretty big. As for her keys and her passport being taken away from her, she and Harry had 13 personal holidays. In the 2 years she was part of the royal family, plus all of the royal engagements going abroad. It doesn't matter who you are, you have to have a passport to get into another country. The only woman in the world that doesn't have a passport is the Queen, because she can't have, the Queen's passport for the Queen, signed off and stamped by the Queen, They had the whopping lie that security was cruelly whipped away from them, endangering their lives just to punish them because they left. Well, that's not quite true. They said to you, you're not going to be an internationally protected person if you quit your job. You don't quit your job and then get to keep all the perks. It doesn't happen. And the fact is, they're rich enough to afford their own security. Why on earth would you be thinking of making demands of all of the countries that you visit that their taxpayers' money has to go towards your security? I don't think so. And that's just some of the big whoppers. And then you add on top of that, which has got Meghan now into hot water, was the fact that she grew up in poverty. It's a real Orphan Annie story. She was practically the little matchstick girl, forced to work in child labour at 13 years old just to put food on the table. And she doesn't know her sister. She hadn't seen her sister in 20 years. She had no contact with her sister. She's just her father's other daughter. Wow, this is coming back to bite her in the butt because Samantha has finally gone, enough. I'm not having this anymore. So Samantha is actually suing Meghan. This made headlines in the past week. And do you know what? Samantha doesn't even have to win the case, because it's the fact that all of this information is going to come out. Now, people can turn around and say, well, Meghan's team have tried to say that it's just going to be fabrication. It's just going to be lies. It's a personal vendetta. What, like Oprah was on the royal family? What about all of the lies that you told? Let's just say pot's calling the kettle black on that one. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see the stuff that is revealed. Now, as I said, Meghan's team are going to try and smear Samantha and just say it's made up. But who would you believe? Everything that Samantha said about Meghan has come true. Samantha didn't lie about any of it. But look at all the stuff that Meghan has lied about. So I know which sister I'd be backing personally. Now, one of the other things that Meghan said, and this has actually timed with a story that's come out, one of the stories that she said was the media held on to the story about her father posing for photographs for a month. They timed it to cause maximum damage, right? The media have denied this isn't true. But a few days ago, a story came out, and this is Robert Hardman. He's got a new book that's coming out to do with the royal family, mainly about the Queen, obviously to coincide with the Queen's Jubilee. But he has said that sources have informed him that when Charles offered to walk Meghan down the aisle because this story had broke, Thomas Markle wasn't coming, Meghan was truly devastated at being let down by dear daddy, that Charles stepped in against protocols, against tradition, and offered to walk his daughter-in-law down the aisle. And Meghan's first words that she said to him, "I'll meet you halfway." Now, does no one else find that a little bit? It's not the reaction that you'd expect, which makes me believe Thomas Markle was never coming. And she wanted that big moment, that dramatic moment of her getting out the car. We've all seen the footage of her swatting away that poor gentleman, trying to give her a hand out of the car. He was swatted away. She wanted that moment of walking up the steps. She didn't want anyone involved at that point. It was her moment on the steps, looking like Miss Havisham from Charles Dickens' Great Expectations. How much veil? Now, I believe Charles, by offering his hand, Meghan had to panic and think on her feet. It was like, "I'll meet you halfway." Now, why would Meghan want to do that? Now, bearing in mind, she must have been very heartbroken that her dad couldn't come. Or was she? Was it always planned? And I'll come to that, because I think that Thomas Markle was never, ever coming to that wedding. So Meghan wanted the big dramatic moment. Bearing in mind, she's told the royal family, she's told Harry, it's an orphan Annie moment. Look at this strong, independent woman walking into the church all by herself. Isn't she brave? Isn't she inspiring? It's just pure narcissism. She walked into that church, and this is when a lot of people in the UK got turned off her. She walked up, she was like a robot, just grin, fixed face. Lots of people compared it to the Little Mermaid, which, funny enough, she said her voice was stolen like Little Mermaid. But they're not comparing her to Ariel, they're comparing her to the Sea Witch. It's when the Sea Witch walked up the aisle and she does that cunning turn, and that was Meghan, wasn't it? And then the thick prince, except Harry wasn't under a spell. But that huge dramatic moment of Meghan walking into the church, that ridiculously pristine white veil, I've got my suspicions about that. Maybe she was going for a I'm Maria in The Sound of the Music, but I think it's a bit more sinister. Right, I'm going to show you a clip here. It's playing now. This is from Snow White and the Huntsman. And what this clip is when Charlize Theron is walking up. She's going to marry the king. And she realises in this moment that people aren't looking at her. They're looking at the little princess, Snow White, behind her. And she gets this real look in her face. That's why Meghan had the long veil, because she wanted to make sure Princess Charlotte was so far up the back, she was practically still out by the car. That's my theory. We've heard the stories which are worrying that she actually made Catherine cry because she was nasty to Princess Charlotte. And I don't know if this is ever going to come out. As I said, this is speculation. But how could you be jealous over a 3-year-old little girl? But apparently that was the contention. That was the drama that was caused by it. But the fact with that story coming out that she just turned and said, "No, I'll meet you halfway." She wanted that moments. It was all about her, that whole wedding, everything, aside from obviously being a celebrity networking event. Now, why do I think that Thomas Markle was never meant to come? Well, because she wanted that moment. 2, the big thing here. I know some of you haven't been following me from the beginning, but the photographer that set up Thomas Markle's picture, Jeff Rayner, was the one that took the photographs of Thomas Markle in Mexico. Jeff Rayner had worked with Meghan prior to that happening. Jeff Rayner also has worked with Meghan and Harry since. Remember when these photographs, they were Pat walking the dogs around LA? The photographer here, this is obviously arranged. This is one of those paparazzi shoots. It's set up. They're supposed to pretend and act natural. That is Jeff Rayner. Now, why would Meghan use the same photographer that destroyed her wedding, destroyed her relationship with her father? Well, maybe it's because she was always in on it. That, again, that's just my opinion, but it does seem pretty odd that you would agree to ever work with that photographer ever again. That's why I believe that Thomas Markle was never coming to the wedding. Plus, if you think about it logistically, he's never met any members of the royal family. He never came for security training. He would have, just rolled off a plane in a crumpled suit and known where to go. It was a huge security risk event. They had the carriage ride. He would have had to know protocols, how to speak to the Queen, things to do and don't do. It would have taken months beforehand. The fact that Thomas never had any of that, it was always going to be set up. Plus, sources also said at the time that the royal family tried to encourage Meghan to bring her father over and she refused, and she said she'd deal with it. Well, she dealt with it all right in her own special way. So yeah, that's why one of the many reasons that people were like, no, I don't trust her. I definitely don't trust that one. No, that one's a bad egg. She's got that glint in her eye. She very much did have that glint in her eye. It was like Ursula the Sea Witch. And this is the big thing. It wasn't just the lies that they told on Oprah. Obviously, the UK public, America is now getting used to all of the porcupines that they're telling and the way that they promote themselves and the things that they do. Everything is, they're always up to something. But it's the fact that they didn't just lie on Oprah. They have been lying to us for years. The wedding turned out to be a networking event. Because look at the people she invited to that wedding. She cut off all of her family, all of her friends, people that had known her previously, apart from a couple of people on suits. And I'm sure that they were given strict orders not to talk to the prince or members of the royal family. The point being here, Meghan was able to completely reinvent herself into this person that she wanted to sell to the UK public. They used taxpayers' money. She wanted to be a duchess. I don't think she ever did. She was playing the biggest role of her life. I think the whole thing was always planned to go against protocols, to cause as much mayhem as possible. So when people started commenting on it, she could play victim and then she could get Harry to take the kid and to go away. Because I think Meghan is now beginning to show her signs for the person that she's now reinventing herself into. And my only clue for the next video is I think Michelle Obama might want to get a restraining order. So I think that gives away a lot of stuff, but I will be back with you guys on the next video tomorrow. Tell me what you think. I know that lots of you agree with me when it comes to the whole Thomas Markle was always set up, but some people actually think that Thomas Markle might have been in on it. I don't know on that one, but love, as always, to hear your thoughts. So please remember to like and subscribe, because the more of you that continue watching me, the more content that I will keep doing. So take care for now, guys, and I will see you soon. Bye.
If you like my video, please remember to like and subscribe. Please, angry typists, you will be blocked, so save your fingers the time. If you would like to buy me a coffee, please go to my About page and click the link. Love, Taz.